Hey guys, it's Ryan here. Thank you so much for watching this video. Today I'm here with my friend Jackson.
Hello.
And we are going to be watching one of my favorite YouTubers, Holden Hardman.
Sorry, I held it up too early.
So I know I kind of dropped off the face of the planet during quarantine, but I found a new favorite YouTuber of mine, and his name is Holden Hardman. He lost his job during quarantine, so he started posting more videos, and he majorly blew up. Anyway, you guys can check out his channel, really good channel. He was talking about in a live stream, so one of the questions was like, what's one of your favorite movies that's really overlooked? And he was like, oh, The Count of Monte Cristo. And I don't know anything about this movie, never heard of it. There's a couple names in the cast I know, but from what I've heard, it's pretty obscure. But I do love getting recommendations from people, and I just kind of went off on a hope and a prayer that this is a good movie. I think it's going to be pretty good. Like I said, I really respect his opinion, and he's just a great guy. We're just going to watch this. Do you know anything?
I know less than you.
Okay, so I guess we're just both going into this. It's got... Oh, you put it down? Okay, so I thought he still had it in his hand, but whatever. This is The Count of Monte Cristo. It's got Jim Caviezel in it, who played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ. Guy Pearce, Richard Harris, both really good actors. But like we said, we really know nothing about this movie, so we're really going into it blind. Holden, if you ever watch this, I trust you, and I hope this is a really good movie. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Dude!
So, we just finished The Count of Monte Cristo a couple of minutes ago, and before we give our thoughts, we're just going to give a brief synopsis of what the film is about, or at least I am. So basically, Jim Caviezel plays this guy who's betrayed by a friend of his and sent to this prison, and he meets this guy who's in there with him, and he tells him about this treasure, this secret treasure located in Monte Cristo. So, what did you think about the film?
I thought it was a really good movie.
I did too. Like, actually, I thought this was a really good movie.
I liked the pacing of the movie. I think the pacing of the movie is probably a bit controversial. It's a bit for people with short attention spans like me. You kind of skip some of the journeying process that happens, and it's just like a montage, and we're at the end. And we're at the end of the road, the Rainbow Road. So I thought it was just a great movie.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like, I really dug the movie. I loved the vibe it had. They don't make a lot of movies like this set in those kind of times, in this time period. I really dug it, and I've always, for some reason, I've loved prison movies, and especially like breaking out of prison. So I don't know, I've just always loved movies like that. So seeing that like aspect in this movie was really, really exciting for me. I also really enjoyed the performances. Like Jim Caviezel, he was already really good in The Passion of the Christ, but here he was maybe better. Seriously, he really gave a really good performance in The Count of Monte Cristo. Guy Pearce, he's kind of a hit or miss actor for me. I love him in movies like Memento, but I'm not crazy about him in like Iron Man 3. He tends to play like very cliched characters in my opinion. He served his purpose for the movie. I really enjoyed, like, he gave a good performance. Richard Harris is always really good. The performances, like I said, were really good in this movie. When you watch this, it feels like just a classic, like just an adventure. It's an adventure. It's like, it sounds dumb, but it's like a swashbuckling adventure. It's like a fantasy, like it's got like pirates, and it's got like adventure and treasure, and it's got like lots of sword fights.
Yeah, it's got like everything in there.
Yeah, it kind of feels like The Princess Bride if it wasn't for kids. But at the same time, it's just a movie that everyone can really enjoy. But obviously, no movie is perfect. And as for my negatives, the only real one I had, and I know that this was kind of a positive for you, was the pacing. I do think when it comes to these really big epic stories, I usually like a beefier runtime. Movies like Braveheart and Gladiator, where they push like, closer to 3 hours. It's just because they have really big stories to tell, and I think that a runtime, maybe not 3 hours, but like 2.5, just a little extra. There's a couple moments in the movie where I just wanted a little more, where they would montage through like 3 months. There's one part in the movie where it just goes 3 months later, and we're just introduced to this new set of characters, then it just goes 3 months later, and then that's it, and we don't really hear much of them, and then they kind of want us to really care about those characters. But because I wasn't on that journey and I never had those character moments, I don't feel anything for those characters. Like, I know I'm supposed to, but I just don't. It's forcing an emotion. So, you know, it's not a big thing. Like, it was just one of those things where I like thought of it in my head and I was like, I don't really like that. But other than that, I mean, I really dug The Count of Monte Cristo. I thought it was great.
The one specific instance you gave as an example of the pacing, where that one group of characters it just jumps 3 months ahead and then they're gone again. I agree that pacing was a little bit off, kind of confusing. But also, one other negative I had is like, and it's not really that big of a deal, but like the ending was just kind of like, I don't know. I just wasn't as satisfied with the ending as I was with the rest of the movie.
It felt kind of quick. It almost felt like an add-on, right?
Yeah, it felt like, because then when one of the characters starts leaving, then he turns around and it's like confusing.
Yeah, I also thought towards the end, like, without spoiling anything, how one character just goes through, I mean, we don't spend a whole lot of time with this character, but they go through a very life-altering event that for their entire life, it's all they've ever known, and it did seem kind of sudden. They make this very quick shift, and I could get behind the shift, but then right at the end, it's like literally that second to last shot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? It just felt like something that wasn't necessary, that didn't need to be there, that they probably either threw in at the end, or the person, the actor on screen just did it and they were like, whatever, go with it. I don't know why they did that. It might have been in the script. For me, it just felt really unnecessary, pretty tacked on. But again, I don't want to I don't want to make it seem like I didn't like the movie. That there's very, very small aspects that we're picking, but we just, we don't want to just talk a bunch of praise about the movie and not talk about its faults, because it has a few. But again, in the end, it's a really good movie. I can definitely see why Holden really likes this movie. It definitely has some really good themes in it that I really appreciate, and I can see how he did as well. And ultimately, I mean, Holden, again, I don't know if you'll ever watch this, but I'm really glad that I watched this movie, because I have never heard of it. I think I've heard the title just because of the book, really, but I've never heard of this movie. I knew nothing about it, and I watched it, and I can definitely see it having potential as like one of my new favorite movies, with more rewatches. I don't think those flaws will go away, but maybe I'll just kind of like see things I didn't see before, and maybe it makes more sense, because there's a couple moments where they pull the rug out from under you and they make a twist and they're like, oh, you need to look at it different because of a scene that we had earlier, but now this scene makes that scene different. So it is an interesting movie to probably go back and revisit. It's definitely a really, really great movie. I definitely recommend checking out. I think we would recommend checking out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The Count of Monte Cristo. It's a really solid movie. I just ordered this for like $5 on Amazon. Check out The Count of Monte Cristo. It's a really solid movie. I'm not sure if I want to give this a grade. I'm not sure how I'm going to do grading in the future. For right now, I just don't really feel like giving this movie a grade. We both really, really enjoyed this movie, obviously. So please go see it. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. Jackson, it's been a pleasure as always. It's been too long. Really good to see you again, have you back. It feels good to be back too. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a like. Let me know if you've heard of The Count of Monte Cristo, or if you liked it, or if you've seen it, or if you hated it. Just talk to us down below. Lastly, if you like what you see here, make sure to subscribe. That way I can see you guys soon.